Okay. So when you came here in 2012, and I don't know a lot about your age and stage, were you finished with school? Did you attend school here in the Indianapolis area at all?
I attended high school back in Gary, Indiana, and then I just, decided to further my education on another path here in Indianapolis,
Okay.
actually.
So did you attend a school or training program here, or what did you do once you got here?
A school, and I was over at Ivy Tech.
Okay. So what were you studying in Ivy Tech? We like
Nursing.
Ivy Tech. Nursing?
Yes.
Oh, but that's something new. At the time that I've known you, I didn't know you had a whole healthcare interest.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is that something that you think you might want to go back to, or when you finish your AmeriCorps? Because part of the AmeriCorps thing is there's sometimes when you're the full-time AmeriCorps, there's an education stipend that you can earn. There's a housing stipend that you might be eligible for, and so there's a lot of different opportunities. So talk about what you think your career path might be from here.
I want to say, as long as I am up and out there serving, it really doesn't matter. I know when I was a little girl, I've always wanted to help people, whether it be firefighter, police officer, but somewhat I grew up and I just kind of further along to change
Okay.
my passion, which is nursing. So
Okay.
as long as I'm helping other people, I love to serve. I enjoy doing that. I mean, that's, pretty much all the same.
Okay. And you clearly, when people always say, I like to help other people, I like to serve, but that is clearly you because you talked about nursing first, but you even considered firefighting and law enforcement. So that those are clearly professions of service.
Yes.
Okay. So you're serving here at Mary Rigg. So what do you think about human services? I mean, does this kind of trump maybe some of the other service things, or is this just making the wheels turn to think more broadly about how you might have like a career in service?
Likewise, I always tell my kids, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. If your passion is there, then go ahead. However, I am here. I am amazed at the teamwork and the things I've also experienced getting out there in the community, talking to people, and getting to know the children from eldest to babies, and yeah. So I enjoy all of it. So I want to say again, all of it is in one.
Okay,
So
that's good. And so since you've been here, because we have a variety of different departments and teams that serve, have you done like food pantry or anything like that since you've been here?
no, I have not, but I would love to do that.
Okay, well, we will have to get you on the list because that's kind of, when people come to Mary Rigg, that's kind of your path. Everybody gets to do a little bit of everything. And if you've not really done food pantry, you've missed a great big chunk of some of the stuff that we do. So, and I know that since you've been here, you've been helping with orientations and getting people enrolled. And I'll say you've kind of jumped right in and started swimming. You don't shy away from meeting new people. You don't shy away from, just getting right to the core of the work, Okay, so that's good. So then since you've been here, I know Kyora's going to join us maybe later, but you've kind of taken on a really large piece of a project, which is going to come starting September 26th, Job Club. So talk about Job Club a little bit. Tell us what your part has been in developing Job Club.
Okay, so I want to go ahead into that just by saying, just been a lot of ups and downs with the community, and I've been in a situation to where I understand when it comes to employment, sometimes we have obstacles that we face, and we have barriers. Those barriers are to push us out there to help us. So I've been on the other side, in the other shoes, to know that how can I go for a job? How can I, there are a lot of people, they don't know about the emails and how to set them up. So they don't know about resumes or cover letters or thank you letters and, first impressions. So we have those things addressed for success. We partake in those things just to, serve out there the community, and whether it's local or outside of, the area as well. So I think that is very important that we keep on our toes, as far as other people out there who face those obstacles. So I know what that feels like. I think Job Club is a great, aspect and a very useful resource. Everything that we have that is involved within it.
Okay.
So I'm just ready to get that going. And
so let's talk about a little of the details in Job Club then, because it's going to be during the day. It's going to start, and it's going to be once a week, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I'm coming to Job Club, I saw a flyer or somebody, one of the coaches invited me to Job Club, or if Miss Davida saw me, say, oh, we're having Job Club at Mary Rigg. What can I expect on the first week? Because I think it's a 4-week stretch. So what should I expect on the first week?
Well, during our first week, we of course have the introductions. We won't quite get into because they're set up, on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
So we will, introduce ourselves. We have a pause. We have activities within the time period frame as well. So usually it's, the introductions. We also have where we.
Because this is just on the first week, because each week there's a different component of what you're going to do. So when you talk about introductions, you're talking about introducing Mary Rigg to the job seekers, introducing job seekers, letting them get to know us, and then just about how to introduce yourself and present yourself in front of an employer maybe, or because that's very important, because we know that when people look for jobs now, it's not, in my generation, you hit the pavement. You went from place to place and you filled out a job application, hope they called you back. But looking for a job is a whole different animal right now.
Yes.
So you have to have some technological skill to look for a job.
Yes.
So we might have people that come in that maybe aren't that computer savvy. They don't have an email address, or if they have an email, it maybe isn't professional. So you're going to help them create something that's professional, because I don't want to say on live radio, but sometimes
we want them to get the job. Of course, we want them to stand out and be that candidate. Because there are a whole lot of other. I want to say there are other millions of other candidates. So we want them to be able to stand out and just show their uniqueness. Bring what they have to the table and be a part of the team.
Okay. And so when they do their applications online, sometimes people aren't as computer savvy. So just pulling up a website online and doing that application can be a little frightening for people. We have a lot of people now that are looking for jobs that have had that same job for maybe 20 or 30 years. And now, due to some downsizing, or maybe they just got terminated for whatever reason, now they're looking for a job and they haven't had to look for one in a long time. And so it requires some diligence and some patience and some willingness to learn.
Yes.
So, and you're a young lady, but what if there's somebody that's been working at their job 20 or 25 years and they're middle-aged, and now here you come, this young lady, and they think they know how to find a job. So what has been your thought process of trying to help that person understand that, I'm going to help you find a job, but I'm going to need you to work with me, because it's a collective effort. We do this here with Mary Rigg. We're helping people find jobs and enroll in training all the time. And it's hard sometimes. It's hard to get people to listen to somebody that they think is the same age as maybe their children.
Yes.
So what's going to be your approach to that?
Okay, so likewise, as I've said before, putting myself in the other person's shoes. I've been there. I understand that communication is very important. So when you're working with someone, you want to get the feel of what their needs are. So we want to cater to their needs. What is it that you need? What do you need help building the resume? Do you need help, just building that report, interviewing? Do you get nervous, when you're talking to the interviewer? A lot of things shock people. And so we want to involve that as well. And I know you asked me about, going through the process of filling out the application. So we do have like the North Star that they can get on to test their skills and, pretty much kind of get the balance of what it is that they want to do. A lot of people don't have that idea of what they want to do. What is your passion? So that we have that intact. Just to for them to get the feel of what is it that you really want to do.
Because if you're doing some assessment, because we have people that come through and say, well, I want a job, and we say, well, what kind of job are you looking for? Oh, I'll just take anything.
Yes.
And that's not really what they mean. Sometimes people are in that period of desperation. I have to have a job. I've got rent to pay. I've got bills to pay. I have kids to take care of.
Yes.
And so they have that, I'll take any job. And so, one of the things I will say to people, if they say, well, I'll just take anything. I'm like, oh, really? So then I'll throw out some really horrible job and say, oh, so you're willing to do that? Oh, no, that's not really what I meant. So let's narrow this down and let's just get into what you really mean. And so when you're talking about doing some of those North Star assessments, it's going to look at some of those natural skills and abilities that people have and interest inventories to say that because of your natural propensity to do this kind of work or your natural talent, and you gravitate towards these things. And sometimes there are things that we do for leisure. Sometimes we don't think of work as work because we're doing what we're naturally talented to do and what we're naturally good at. So you're going to actually go through some of that assessment period so that they don't have this expectation that they're going to walk in the first day and we're going to, okay, here's a job for you, because they've got to put in some work.
Yes, it's important to put the effort in. Without your effort, you don't get anything. I like to say, without work, faith is dead. So you have to put the effort and the time in, the dedication in, the devotion, and you'll get the good results that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I'll even say that, even with you coming here, it took a while to get you through the AmeriCorps process because, it's a process. There's a lot of documentation, there's a lot of meetings, and there's a lot that has to go on, but you just stayed the course. I mean, I think we worked for a couple of months to get you here, but you just stayed the course. And, for a lot of job seekers that we see, they can't stay the course because what we see now is everything happens so fast. People want stuff right away. And it's like, okay, I want to get rich quick, or I want to get a job quick, and they just don't exercise the patience to go there. So, one of the things that we hope is going to happen in Job Club is they're going to understand that we're going to start on the 26th. You're going to come to your first Job Corps, Job Club meeting, and you're not going to walk out of here with a job that day. You might walk out with having completed an assessment. You might get a resume template to take home and then fill out so that you know how you're going to develop a resume. Because sometimes when people are looking for jobs, they don't remember all the jobs they had. They don't remember stop and start dates or the years that they worked. They don't maybe remember locations, or even when they have to give their descriptions of the work they did, they don't remember. So you might give them a template to say, when you come back next week, here's how we're going to start to work on your resume, and here's how we're going to start to develop your job search or your strategy.
And I want to go ahead and add that, we do also have the tracking sheet that we will allow them to keep so that they will be able to keep track of those timings, the jobs they fill out. We have a lot of tools that will be useful, whether it's just them, walking out with a resume, a cover letter. They can use that for their, in the near future.
Yeah. Well, exactly, because the thing about resumes is you kind of need a new resume for every job you apply for. There's no one size fits all. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people that come to our building who already have a resume. I'm like, well, can we take a look at it? We might need to update. Oh, no, I just did this last week. Well, you did that last week for the job you were applying for last week.
Okay.
Now, this week, these are the jobs you're applying for, and we need to make sure that they speak to whatever that job is, because what we do know is that the automatic tracking system see those resumes before a human eye ever gets laid on them.
Yes.
We did talk to one employer that said that they review all of their resumes in person, which is like something that we've not seen in a long time. Because generally, you can be the best qualified person for a job, but nobody's going to see that resume. And people say keywords, and it's not exactly keywords; it's exact words. It's exact words that the ATS system is looking for, and they want you to say it exactly the way the job description says it. But you need to make your resume not be a cut and paste, but it has to still mimic exactly what that job description says, or you're never going to even get past the ATS systems.
Yes.
Okay, so we've kind of gotten into this a little bit. I didn't know we'd get this deep this fast, but we did, and that's perfect. So we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to get more into talking about Job Club a little bit. And at some point, we're going to have Kiora, our other AmeriCorps intern, join us as well. So we're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back. That was good, girl. So now we have Ms. Kiora Muhammad. For our regular listeners, she's not a stranger to anyone. She's been here a lot, but Kiora has accomplished a lot and does a lot. So she was supposed to join us in our first segment along with Davida. They've created Job Club together. This was a project that we've entrusted our AmeriCorps members with, and so they've done really well. So Davida gave us a good introduction to like what happens on like the first segment or the first time somebody comes from Job Club. That's going to start on the 26th. So from work you've done and you put together, let's just hear what you believe and what your goal is to be accomplished with Job Club for job seekers.
The goal for Job Club is to build community within one another. The one thing you all will have in common is that you all are looking for a job, and it is a competitive market out there. But I want everybody to be able to find that connection with one another and not see it as a competition, but rather as a way to uplift another, as kind of we are still in weird times, especially with everything in the economic world kind of going on. I want to kind of build a sense of community within one another to let you know, hey, you're not alone. We are all searching for jobs. Let's share what we have, because what might not be for you might be for somebody else. So it's good to share those resources and kind of have that connection with one another while you are going through those tough times. Because job loss can be very, very difficult to overcome and can be very demetritising. If I don't think that's the word,
I don't
but
know if that's a word.
to your confidence, it'll lower your self confidence, and every time you get rejected, you might have that sense of, dang, I'm not good enough. But I want you to know that you are good enough. Let's work on some things. Let's get you back into the job field, and let's see where we can get you to where you want.
Yeah, because you're getting rejected from a job, you can't really take it personal. To be honest, it's actually a numbers game, numbers/skills, because you do have to have equitable and valuable skills to get a job. But also, you're not the only person with those skills.
Right.
So it's a numbers game. So if everybody is totally equally matched as far as skills and experiences, it's a matter of just how do you get in front of that employer. And we talked a little bit about the applications and the resumes and automatic tracking systems and making sure that you've got the right words and phrases, not so much keywords, but words and phrases that are going to get you past those automatic tracking systems. So, but something else that you mentioned that we didn't talk about before, and this is really important, is that it is Job Club. So there's going to be some cohesion and some collaboration with individual members that come to Job Club. So it's not like I'm just going to Mary Rigg to look for a job or to get assistance with a job. You're going to be with people that will become your peers. And so you're going to share experiences and share knowledge and all of that. So it's going to be a group of people.
Yeah, and it's all going to start base level. It's all going to start very, very normal. Do you have a voicemail box set up that's professional? Do you have email? How good are you with computers? We want to see where you're at first and meet you there and see where we can get you. If you want to, if maybe you come to us and you do know that all I need is like 2 hours of my day, silence of me just filling out job applications, because job applications, they take a long time. They do take a long time to fill out. It can take up to an hour. You have them contacting you afterwards saying, can you complete this test? Can you do this test and this test? So it does take a while to even get to the end of the road with the job application.
True.
So if you know that maybe you just need to sit down for a couple hours undisturbed, you can come to us for that too. But we also want to provide those workshops where if you want to work on your resume or if you want to work on your mock interviewing, you need Dress for Success skills, you need anything, we want to be there for you. We want to build that community with each other, because maybe we don't have the right answer, but somebody else does. Somebody else who's going through the exact same thing as you does.
And sometimes just that peer support and encouragement. You know, you've been rejected for 3 different jobs that you've applied for, and someone said, you know what, me too, but here's what I found out, or I've had interviews and I didn't get that job, but that employer did tell me when I asked, okay, what could I have done better to strengthen my interview? They're sharing that information, and then people within Job Club can share that information among themselves as well.
Exactly.
So, and then another thing too to talk about with Job Club is it's not just for people that are unemployed or have lost their employment. It is also for people that are underemployed. I mean, how many people are underemployed? They're working hard, they're working full time, but they're just not making enough money. Minimum wage is $7. So sometimes employers think if they're paying $12 or $13, they're really doing something, but that's still not enough to help people support themselves and their families. So, we're looking to help people find jobs where they're making a minimum of $17, $18 and, to start.
Yeah,
so that they can have a good starting point.
Yeah, you'll see it as more of a trend nowadays where people with college degrees, they aren't even working with their degree. It's hard for them to find a job with their college degree. It's hard to even get your foot in the door for an entry level position with a college degree nowadays. And when you get that constant rejection after going through 4 years and going into so much student loan debt, you get that constant rejection. You're like, did I go into the right major? Did I do this right? What am I doing wrong? It's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in your head that we want to be able to just talk about freely in an open and safe space where no judgment. If that's your college degree, let's see if we can get you into that job.
Exactly, because it begins to play on your mental health and your mental psyche. So, that's part of that, just that whole group learning, that group thinking, and helping people to find jobs and understanding that they're not alone.
Yeah.
So, having said that, I kind of want to do a little segue because, I talked
Mental
about
health.
your mental health. And
I
so now you know how I roll. So, we're talking about you. For those of you that will remember, Cure won the LISC Innovations and Opportunity Equity Grant. I call it the wrong thing every time, I know it. But so last year you did cold cuts and cuts because people were getting free haircuts, and they were getting free cold cut sandwiches, and the employment team was going out helping people to write resumes and do things to get prepared for work. So in your brilliant creativity, you applied for another grant this year, and I am so happy and proud to say that she was awarded yet another grant. So in our world, that's success. That's a success story. So tell us about the grant, the proposal that you wrote and the grant that you received and what it's going to be.
Yeah, so I applied for the Equity and Innovation Grant through LISC, AmeriCorps. I applied for the full $1,000 that I could to utilize the funds in a project called Let It Out. It will be located downtown Indianapolis, right next to the bus station at Lugar Plaza. There will be a microphone, art supplies, writing materials, sketching materials, pens, pencils, little notebooks that I'll hand out. Whatever you use as your creative freedom, I want you to have that chance to be able to freely express it. If it's poetry, spoken word, music, if that's how you can express yourself, I want you to be able to do it. I want there to be an open, non-judgment, free space. Kind of going back to the mental health point, it's good to make sure that your mental health is okay before you go into another project or go into a big crime mode for whatever it might be. It's very important to make sure that you are okay and you're checking in with your creative side and making sure that your creative side is satisfied before you can go on into a job that might not be as creative as you want it. Mental health is so important to me, and I feel like it's very needed, especially with the economy kind of going back again. We want to make sure that you are well prepared and that you can have that space and the free time to do it. It's Lugar Plaza is going to be every Saturday starting Saturday, September 7th.
And then what time is it going to be?
From 12 to 3.
Okay. And so one of the things that we talked about as you were writing this grant is that we know that when people are doing artistic things, they tend to relax, their blood pressure stabilizes, they get low, they can kind of think beyond what their current circumstances are. And so along with that, we're also going to have mental health professionals that are going to be available. So if somebody's in that space and maybe on their own, they may not go seek out a mental health professional, but if somebody's there that's just kind of having casual conversation with them, this is going to be a good time for them to kind of relax and just kind of unwind and maybe share something that they wouldn't ordinarily on their own seek out a professional to share.
Yeah, there will be resources available. Like you said, I'm in contact with some mental health professionals to be available during those times, as well as I was going to reach out to different community centers. I know Rigg will be there to table the event as well to offer their resources. It's a project by youth for youth. It is for people who are just wanting to express themselves. And I hear it all the time from some of my coworkers on my other job or some of my friends who are in my age range saying they want to be creative, but they don't have a space for it.
Okay.
And I want to provide that.
Okay, and that's one of the things I really like about you. You understand and see the need. I mean, even when you did cold cuts and cuts, you walked the street and took a video, made a video, and asked people how they felt about their appearance and when was the last time they had a haircut. How did that make them feel? And so once again, you're just the human side of human services, which is my tagline. You're right there in the heart of that, and you're going right to the streets You have no fear of being on the streets, creating programs where people that you don't know have the opportunity and the availability to come and participate in things that were going to be helpful for them emotionally, financially, as far as their economics and finding a job. I mean, you just go right to the heart of the movement.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't want to say the movement of human services, but it's kind of your own personal movement. Like you mentioned, mental health is very important to you, and so you just, when you do what you love, it's not work, and you've done right to that. So
I totally agree with that. This is,
perfect.
I love this job. This is
Okay.
genuinely.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take our next break. We're going to come back, and we got something else that you're exciting that you're doing that we want to share because you just don't stop.
I know.
You just don't stop. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. So we, Davina's joined us back, and well, along with Kiora. So we had Kiora talk about in the second segment about a little bit about Job Club and a little bit about her new initiative, Let It Out. But collectively, they are our AmeriCorps members, and so I thought it would be nice to have the two of them together. Kiora being our veteran member, and Davina being new, to just share, what AmeriCorps has been like for you. You got a lot more to share than her, but just to have you guys talk about what it's been like to work together as AmeriCorps, for you to share, some insight about AmeriCorps. It's all been new for you. So let's just kind of get into what AmeriCorps has been doing for you.
Well, for me, it's been a joy to, actually face some new challenges, and there has been a lot of things that I have not experienced that I'm experiencing now, and I work closely with Ms. Kiora over here. She's great. She's very beautiful, intelligent, very outspoken, and I love her. I'm learning a lot from her.
So what did you know about AmeriCorps though before you were a member with us?
Well,
or did you know anything about AmeriCorps?
Well, just doing some research. I know that it's an agency working for the government, and just that whole service part to me stood out, serving the community and others.
Okay. So, Kiora, did you know much about AmeriCorps before you got involved in it, or did you just kind of evolve into now the queen of AmeriCorps?
To be honest, I did not know that much. As you've known, my journey has been from recruit to AmeriCorps, so I was already kind of feeling out this place, and then I kind of transitioned into AmeriCorps when you all applied for a position. When Andrew had offered me the position, I did Google it a little bit, and I did look a little bit more into it to see who it was and what they do. And then I found out that it was a little bit more LISC-based, because LISC AmeriCorps, and then you find out there's all these different branches of AmeriCorps that you could go into. So it kind of was a rabbit hole I fell into that I did enjoy, kind of learning some more about servicing different communities and different acts of service that you can provide as an AmeriCorps member.
Okay, and it's also one of these great resume builder kinds of things. I mean, if you do things like Job Corps, AmeriCorps, those things, they speak to your commitment to service. And a lot of times people will say, well, I really want to help people, or I really want to serve people, but AmeriCorps is not like you're going to have a career working as an AmeriCorps member. It's a bridge to whatever you want to do next, but it provides really great opportunities and great resources for you to do that. So any regrets from your end from doing it, participating in AmeriCorps?
For me?
Well, yes.
I'm
sure there aren't any, but
No.
it was a good question to ask.
No, I don't regret anything. I really loved kind of jumping into community service and kind of jumping into the nonprofit.
Okay. And you've kind of made this your own. I mean, we've given you some space to kind of make it your own, and that's another thing that's important too, because I say all the time that we like to grow our own at Mary Rigg, and we let you grow. We let you go. We let you go, and
it's a tight leash. It's not a tight leash. It was the freedom that I did get while being here. I definitely enjoyed, because I got to explore the different avenues. I got to explore the data side, and I found out that I really do like data entry, and I do love looking at a screen all day, which I never would have thought that I liked. But I do really like looking at data and numbers and kind of reading what data means in a way. And now that I'm in the data training, I'm like, wow, this is deep.
So then, if you look at your coworker, Miss Davida, what would you tell her? Because this is your second AmeriCorps term. Unfortunately, you only get 2 terms, I think. So,
I think so.
We would love that, but that doesn't mean that maybe you won't be affiliated with Mary Rigg. But just from the AmeriCorps standpoint, you get 2 terms. So, and she's a part-timer. She's a part-time term. You were a full-time. So, if you were talking to Davida and she said, I don't know if I'm going to do this thing again, what might you say to encourage her to maybe want to do it again?
I think find your niche, stick it out. I think AmeriCorps is very flexible. I think if you're like, oh, I don't want to do it again, I think maybe don't say you don't want to do it again. Say you want to find something different with it. Because there's so many different ways you can go with AmeriCorps. There's so many different, like I said, there's so many different sections of AmeriCorps within it. Like if you love AmeriCorps, but maybe just what you're doing isn't it, you can find your niche. I think there's a place here for you for sure.
So let's talk about some of the experiences you've had, because you've met a great number of people from across the country, actually, and you've attended some conferences, right?
Yeah.
So what has that been like? Because you just on your own, we used to put you on a plane and send you some places. So what's that experience
One place.
been like?
So it was nice. It definitely taught me how to network. It definitely taught me how to like show, like you hear it all the time, networking, knowing how to network and this, that, and third. But it's like, once you see it firsthand, like when you're in a room full of people in suits and ties and blazers and skirts, you're like, whoa, everybody's just going up to each other, handing out business cards, saying like, this is what I do. This is my position, and kind of getting into that groove of describing what your position is and what you can do. Before I would just say, yeah, I'm an American member, I help people find jobs. Now I can go into a whole spiel about what I can do here at Mary Rigg.
So you've had some really good professional development as being part of the Miracle. Okay. So are you paying attention, Dave, either? Because we just believe in growing our own, and whenever we get an opportunity for someone to come and work with us, whether it's through Rigg Crew or if they're volunteering, and then if they get to do something like a Miracle, we like to grow our own and bring people into us. There's no point in us getting people professionally trained and developed and then sending them out for somebody else. We put the work in it. So, we want to keep the best for us. So, I'm just really happy that both of you are our Miracle members. And this is your first, and you're a part-time, so you didn't do the full year. You're doing a couple of months. So there's an application process that maybe you might, if you're interested, be able to do it again. And we would certainly love to have you here to do that.
I would love to.
Okay.
My office.
Okay, so now we're going to transition into something else that Kiora is doing. Because Kiora has been a Rigg Crew member. You've probably seen an interview when she was Rigg Crew. You probably saw an interview when she did Cold Cuts and Cuts. Today we're talking about Let It Out, which is your new initiative. But then also, she is, I don't know if you're called a delegate, or what your actual role is with the National NIAC, National Youth Advisory Council. So you're going to be going to their conference in September. But so tell us what the council is first, so that for people that don't know, because we'll say National Youth Advisory Council, but what is that first? Tell us what that is.
So the YES program, Youth Employment Services, or Youth Enrichment Services, it's kind of like a national program that kind of oversees a lot of different states. NIAC is a subgroup of the NYEC, National Youth Employment Coalition. The NIAC is Youth Advisory Council, so it has 18 to 24-year-olds on it, kind of giving our insight on what we think maybe policies should be, and kind of giving them a good insight on where 18 to 24-year-olds are now. I, along with me and my other co-chair, Alyssa Deltz, we are the co-chairs. We kind of we try to help out as the overseers of the group, but it's all a huge contribution of everybody who is a part of it. It's a really great opportunity. I'm learning a lot. One of the girls, Ayani Gomez, she started her own nonprofit in Boston, and I'm like, go, like I wanna do what you're doing. I need you to tell me how to do that. And in September, there is a NYEC conference in DC where we get to go meet our policymakers. We get to go meet our state representatives, and we have like little one-off meetings with them and kind of talk to them about where we are and how we are feeling, especially within the community. We are the NIAC is going to be helping organize those meetings, and organize some events for the youth who are attending that day. Because I know Employee Indy is one of the groups that's going to be bringing some youth out there, but there's going to be a lot of different people there.
So, but you, outside from like going as a member of like the YES program, you're on committees that are providing some of the workshops and some of the things. So what are you going to be doing?
So we'll be trying to we're going to be organizing the meetings between the state representatives and those who are coming from all those states. So we're going to be kind of just leading different groups through the conference at the time. And then we're also planning for youth enrichment activity before the conference for everybody to kind of get together and kind of get to know each other as well, kind of just to introduce them into policymaking.
Okay, so what if you could talk to policymakers about things that are important to youth? What do you think those things might be, or what would you, if you could ask people to send you information or things that they think they would want you to take to Washington D.C. to talk to the people that think they know about youth, that think they know what you need, think they know who you are? What would you ask people, or what would you share?
I would share whatever anybody has to say. If you guys want to write letters, send me an email, send me a text. I will share it. That's kind of what we're going to be working on. We're going to be working on collecting letters to take down there. I would say to policymakers, focus on the creatives, focus on their passions. Like we have people coming out of high school and they have a passion, and then it gets killed by the policies that are in place right now. And I really want them to just listen a little bit more to their sons and daughters who might not be going into the policy, look at their political field after them. Just listen a little bit more to what we are actually saying, because we have a lot to say. Just take it seriously. You know, we have some really good insight on what we think the future of this country should be going towards.
Okay, so let's just think about what some of those things are, though, because if we talk about mental health, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
What about things like education and maybe gun violence or nutfuls, or those kinds of things that will be involved in this, or no?
Oh, at the conference, yes. So whatever it is that you would like to talk about and bring up to your state representative, we will talk about it and we'll bring it up. We will talk about the gun violence. I know Indiana has a very high gun violence rate. That is definitely something that will be mentioned to our state representative. I won't be the only one from Indy who's going to be there. Everybody who is there will be sharing their stories. I don't know if we could get so political on this, but
I'm just asking. Well, because this is the thing. I don't think that we, as adults or policymakers or as politicians or legislators, whoever, I don't think we talk about what we think youth should do. We talk about who we think should be in charge of them. And we hear people a lot, well, we should go into their homes and do this, or they should do this. And it's easy to say, here's what you should do. You're in a position to say, here's what we want, here's what we need. So rather than you saying, here's what we should do, listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my question. If you could just walk right into whoever's office and say, here's what I think, or here's what I would like for you to focus on, what would some of those things be? I mean, this is just your own internal thought. So I know that you're going to put the question out there and say if people want to send things to you to take with you that you can share. But if you could just share, and Davida, you can jump into this too. What do you think is important? What are we missing?
I think it's been touched on this, the majority of this, entrepreneurship a little bit, in endorsing more, and I've mentioned this to them, kind of adding those into the KPIs of whatever they're looking for, adding those entrepreneurship opportunities to workforce development centers. That way it gives them an incentive to actually promote self-ownership.
Okay.
There's that, obviously, gun violence you've mentioned. I think mental health, you touched on.
Well, because there's just so much. I mean, there's just so much, because I think about, when we think about criminal justice reform, and I don't want to look into too deep in the woods, but, I think about some of the scenarios that we see, even when we're working with young people in the building. We've got to have a certain level of being human, a certain level of that whole cultural competency piece, that whole thing of inclusion means inclusion of everybody, and it also means belonging. And so my version of what life should be and how I belong might be different from somebody else of a different culture. So when we're talking to policymakers, there's no one size that fits all.
Yeah.
There's no one set of rules that should be enforced for everybody. I mean, yes, there's equity and equality, but there needs to be some way to think in terms of who the people are that we're serving, and how sometimes our services might need to be different or customized based on the groups that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And And so those are the things that I'm asking you. I mean, you're gonna be our representative or a representative, not for us, I mean, as far as Rick, but for your generation.
Yeah.
So you wanna make sure that you go into that thinking, okay, what is important?
Yeah.
I mean, 5 years from now, what's gonna be important for the people that in 5 years from now, I don't know, you might be 26 or 25 or 27 or something, yeah. So, and that's still a young adult. And the things that are important to you now, hopefully something will come to fruition, some things that, I don't know if what you guys are gonna do at that conference is gonna make a change, but it's a start. Everybody's got a voice and everybody's got an opinion.
Yeah, I think change starts now. I think kind of the talks is a very good starting point for us. I think getting to know who it is that's having control over our lives, getting to meet with them face to face, shake their hands, talking to them, who has that kind of say in our lives is very beneficial. Some people go their entire lives without ever meeting anybody who's made a decision on where they live. Yeah. And I don't want to be that. I don't want the youth. I think in, like you said, 5 years, I want it to be more normalized to see state representatives in their community, state representatives not on the Capitol, but in their states, talking to them, talking to us, kind of, not necessarily going door to door, but definitely maybe door to door is what it's going to kissing babies, you know what I mean? Like, we need to bring that back. We need to bring.
You're so disconnected.
Yeah.
You don't really understand about the people that are in your constituency because you're sitting high and looking low. Sometimes you got to come in.
Yeah, we need to bring it back to where they're in our states, kind of interacting with us, not the people who's supporting them, and with us and the people who are going to vote them in the office, and not just when election time comes. Like that's when you're out shaking hands and kissing babies. Like that's not. We need you here, seeing what we're seeing every single day.
Instead of just a number.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I can't get into a whole political thing, but just from your generation, I mean, there's this big presidential election coming up, but what about all those other little elections? You know what I mean? So as a generation, when you say what you need, the judges in your courts are the people you want to make sure you're voting for. Because, it's more about, the elections are more about everybody, and that inclusion from the lower levels of government, our local to intermediate, our legislative branch, our executive branch. So it's all very important. And you're going to be able to make an impact on, hopefully, make an impact on how people see you as not just a young adult, but a young African-American adult, a young African-American female adult. I mean, because inclusion is everybody. So it's our experiences, it's our race, it's our ethnicity, it's our culture, it's where we live, where we come from, where we're going. So you're going to be making a positive impact. I'm so excited, so proud of you for doing that.
I'm excited. I think this is going to be very beneficial to me because I think there's a lot that I'm thinking about going into this trip, and I think there will be a lot of answers that will be answered.
So what do you think? Okay, so what's your plan when you come back? You're going to come back and say, okay, here's what I learned and here's what I can do in my community. Are you going to feel empowered when you come back?
Yeah, I think that's a part of it. I'm very interested to kind of see how I can kind of take what they have to say into the community and trying to find a way to kind of let it out, in a sense, kind of bring it out and let it spread. Because I'm not necessarily on social media, even though I know a lot of my constituents are, and I know a lot of my friends are. I'm just not that person. So when it comes to going into how I can let it be known, I think that's something. And then also just kind of thinking about what I want to do next. I think kind of going there and seeing the political field and talking to people, I think that was my next step on deciding on like if I wanted to maybe enter the political field and see where we're going to be, where I can end up.
Okay, well, good stuff and great things to come from both of you. Thank you so much, Davida, for joining us today, and thank you, Kira, for joining us once again. Very proud of both of you. For anybody that's interested in Job Club, it will start on September 26th at 10 a.m.
August 26th.
August 26th, sorry. August 26th at 10 a.m. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for joining us today for RigWorks Radio. We look forward to you joining us next week. We'll have Julie Plate from United Way back with us again. So thank you for listening and have a good week.